Breaking news. This is why Cyril Ramaphosa, a South African, is heading a peace mission to Ukraine. The war has had a devastating impact on living standards across Africa, which is why 7 African leaders are traveling to Ukraine and Russia on a peace mission. On Friday, President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet with the delegation from South Africa, Egypt, Senegal, Congo-Brazzaville, Comoros, Zambia, and Uganda. On Saturday, President Vladimir Putin will meet with the delegation. Unfortunately, the timing of the visit is off. This development coincides with Kyiv's much-anticipated counteroffensive. So, what, exactly, will this mission accomplish? President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa made the announcement last month, adding himself to the list of would-be peacemakers that also includes China, Turkey, and the Pope, but he did not provide a timeline or any specific proposals. South African risk analyst and ex-diplomat Kingsley Mkhabela asks, "What is the strategic thrust of this intervention? The situation is ambiguous. Is this a chance for African leaders to pose for a picture?" This mission represents an unprecedented outburst of activism from Africa, which has generally avoided getting involved in a conflict that locals see as primarily between Russia and the West. Marithi Mutiga, director of the Africa Division of the International Crisis Group, ICG, describes the effort as a welcome development, because it represents a rare attempt at diplomatic intervention outside the continent. The man who laid the foundation, Jean-Yves Olivier, has discussed relatively modest objectives. Although his long-standing ties to Congo-Brazzaville's authoritarian leader have made him a controversial figure, he is the head of a UK-based organisation called the Brazzaville Foundation, which focuses on peace and development initiatives in Africa. Since the trip's official dates were announced, Mr. Olivier has stopped publicly discussing it. However, his strategy has been laid out in interviews that have been made public. Instead of trying to end the war, he said, they should talk about things that don't have an immediate impact on the military and see where that gets them. Possible prisoner exchange between Russia and Ukraine is one possibility. The second is to look for answers to problems that are important in Africa, such as food and fertilizer shortages. War has increased global food insecurity by limiting the export of grain from Ukraine and fertilizer from Russia. The continent of Africa has been hit the hardest because it must rely on imports of both. Mr. Olivier has stated that African leaders will try to convince the Russians to keep the agreement open that allows Ukraine to ship grain through the Black Sea. It will also ask Kyiv to assist in resolving the issue of Russian fertilizer being held up in port because of export restrictions. Mr. Mutiga says there are signs that the leaders seek to offer a more substantive deal between the two sides. America's efforts to exert pressure on South Africa. The delegation is intentionally diverse and inclusive, with representatives from multiple regions of Africa and a range of perspectives on the conflict. They have 4 presidents, the Prime Minister of Egypt, leaders from Uganda and Congo-Brazzaville, and a representative from Egypt. When compared to Zambia and Comoros, South Africa and Uganda are seen as more pro-Western. Most of Egypt, Senegal, and Congo-Brazzaville have taken a neutral stance. However, it appears that recent events in South Africa are having an effect on the venture. The U.S. has increased its pressure on Mr. Ramaphosa's government over its alleged support for Russia's war. South Africa has denied allegations that it sent weapons to Moscow.